Hi everyone, and welcome back out to Harvest Hills Ranch. You know, it would be very easy to learn a few exercises and then go to work out and all of a sudden get confused. Oh, which exercise do I start out with?
I do that all the time.
Oh, should I do squats? Wait a minute. I think he talked about some stretch, but I don't really remember how to do the stretch. Well, today, guys, we're going to talk about how to eliminate that confusion and make it where when you start to do your workout, you're very fluid and seamless in your workout, and you can just cruise right through it, get it accomplished, and move on to the other things that you need to do in your life. Hey, I am Dr. Arland Hill here with Leah Hill, and we have a passion for all things nutrition, health, and wellness related. And today we're going to be looking at picking an objective to your workout. Now, there can be several different goals, objectives that you have. However, if we try to do everything at once, you know the old saying, well, we end up doing nothing, right? And so that actually is a very true statement, especially when it comes to working out. We want to, first of all, when we're picking our objectives, we need to ask the question, what are we working out for? What is our interest? What is it that we feel like we are incapable of doing and doing a workout would benefit us? Here's a couple of things that come to mind for me that maybe you want to ask these, and this is by no means meant to be an exhaustive list in any way, but I think as you listen to me share these with you, I would suggest that it's ideal for you to pick one, at max, two of these to focus on, and by doing that, you develop a comfort level with that type of activity, and ultimately you get closer to mastering that type of activity so that you can transition onto something else. So as I suggested, there's a couple that I would focus on. Number one is strength, and that may seem like one of the more obvious ones, and indeed it is. So if you're going to your workout and you feel, you know, I try to lift things up around home and I'm just not very strong, it always feels like a challenge no matter what I'm lifting or picking up or placing in the closet. Maybe you've got a bundle of clothes on hangers and you're trying to hang these things up in the closet and you think, goodness gracious, it was heavy to get that onto the bar. You know, if it feels like that, well, maybe strength is a focus for you. And so we would develop exercises, or you would develop a routine for your exercises that are focused on strength orientation. Now, maybe another idea for you, another focus that you could have is developing stamina and strength. And if you feel like, you know, maybe I can lift that hanger, but if I try to do 4 or 5 of those in a row, well, I'm worn out, I'm out of breath, I just feel exhausted, and by midday, I just don't have anything left in the tank to keep going with. Now granted, there could be multiple reasons for that, but if we're talking about just physical capability, one of the focuses may be working on your endurance or your stamina. Now, what's a third one we can talk about here? Well, a third one might be your flexibility and your range of motion. You know, if you try to lean down and if you see something on the floor and you just inherently lean over and pick that up instead of actually bending down, bending at your knees and your pelvis and picking that up, doing a squat and standing back up with that item, that may be just a simple indication to you that your flexibility is lacking. If you're sitting behind a desk frequently, that's going to be another strong indication that your flexibility is not going to be good. And when you have limited range of motion, I'll tell you another one that comes to mind. You're driving down the road and you look over your shoulder to see if there's anyone in your blind spot, and your range of motion is this rather than being able to look completely over your shoulder. Right? So it may be simple things like that. You may inherently recognize that I am not flexible and I need to work on that. And I will suggest that this is not a byproduct of age. We do not inherently become less flexible as we age. We become less flexible because we quit being flexible. We quit doing things that are challenging to our full range of motion, and therefore our body adapts. Well, lo and behold, it can adapt the other way as well, where we do become more flexible. So maybe your objective is flexibility. I have one other one for you that comes to mind. And again, I said this was not an exhaustive list, but injury. If you have a nagging injury that continues to pop up, maybe you have chronic low back pain and that low back pain just doesn't want to go away, or you have knee pain or shoulder pain and it just seems to always linger around, or it pops up from time to time. Those can be examples of an injury that you would like to prevent. I think we would all like to not have pain, whether it's in the shoulder, the hips, the back, the knees, wherever it's at. No one wants to deal with chronic pain. And so maybe your objective is, I deal with my injury and I do exercises that are going to help prevent or exacerbate that injury. Now, does this mean that we can't focus on more than one of these at a time? No, of course it does not. However, it does mean that when we start looking at initially setting up a protocol and a strategy to build your exercise around, we should pick one of these. And I would say as a beginner, don't even focus on two, pick one. And it doesn't mean that after 2 or 3 weeks, you can't integrate the next one in, but start with the first one. So for example, if you are looking for ways to improve your flexibility, well, maybe you start off just learning how to do more full ranges of motion. And then you progress from, okay, I've got that down, but we're sticking with this objective of flexibility. I now transition to taking the bands, the resistance bands, and I learn how to start stretching with resistance bands. And so you just continue to build on that. And then you can take you start looking at, for example, differences in stretches, static stretches versus dynamic stretches. Maybe I'm comfortable with starting out with a static stretch. I learn how to do that. I've got those integrated in, and now I move over to a dynamic stretch. But we were all in this same vein of flexibility and learning how to be more flexible and improve our range of motion. Once we nail that down, then you can decide, well, what else do I want to learn? Do I want to be stronger? Okay, well, now let's focus on things that are oriented around strength. And if you pick that one objective, get good with that, physically improve, mentally develop a comfort level with it so that the next time you're looking to try to add something in, well, you already learned how to develop a flow through your workouts, and you learned how to listen to your body. That's improving the mental function of your exercise as well. And you don't get lost. You're not getting so much input in that you don't actually efficiently use any of it. We develop that one skill set around that one objective, and we grow from there. And before you know it, you've actually got concepts of all these different areas that I've talked about. You've learned how to do somewhat of all of these, but at the end of the day, you've got an exercise program that's working for you and that's meeting what your most specific needs are. What I do for me is not going to be Leah's objective. Right at the moment, for example, and this is just at this current moment, my primary objective is strength. Leah's primary objective is injury prevention, right? But next week, next week, because I'll be through the end of my current phase of my workouts right now, I'll actually transition and I'll go into more stamina and endurance types of activities. So it can change, it's flexible, it's not meant to be rigid, but if you focus on that one thing, get good with that one thing, and don't lose focus on that, you'll find that over the long term, you become much more efficient with all of your workouts. So if you are interested in learning how to improve and optimize all facets of your health, go to drarlandhill.com. And like I said, we're out here at Harvest Hills Ranch. If you want to know how Leah and I raise food with uncompromising principles and what we produce, go to harvesthillsranch.com and you can find out all about that as well. Until next time, we'll see you soon.